Volume 13. The Fourth Spirit Ability. Chapter 88. Drain, 8 Spider Lances. Tang San glanced at Xiao Wu sitting there anxiously watching him. His expression was blank a moment, then the bloody light in his eyes gradually withdrew, and his mind also gradually recovered to normal. Actually, even he himself didn't know just what he did just now. Piercing the man-faced demon spider with 8 spider lances was all something he did subconsciously while his mind was blanked out. Now, seeing Xiao Wu was still alive, Tang San's heart also subsequently came back to life. Then he noticed his current situation. The man-faced demon spider still constantly twitched below him, pulse after pulse of powerful energy entering his body via 8 spider lances. What made him astonished was that after this ruthless energy had circulated one turn within him, it would again be transmitted to his 8 spider lances to coagulate at his vertebrae, and the vertebrae and 8 ribs where 8 spider lances attached became incomparably hot, absorbing the energy like a deep abyss. This was the first time Tang San truly used the 8 spider lances drain ability, and the target was a man-faced demon spider. 8 spider lances drain ability could originally only temporarily give him an immediate energy boost, and after a short term of use it would automatically disperse. But right now the target of the drain was the same as the source of 8 spider lances, another man-faced demon spider, and 8 spider lances showed an autonomous reaction, or to say that it was transforming itself. The energy sucked out of the man-faced demon spider was absorbed and transformed by Tang San's external spirit bone, becoming its own energy. This was also a chance coincidence. If Tang San hadn't already reached the 40th rank of spirit power, just the condition for evolving 8 spider lances, the energy now being absorbed from the man-faced demon spider wouldn't directly shift into the external spirit bone. External spirit bones really were too rare. That's why even Grandmaster didn't have too much research into it. Actually, the evolution of external spirit bones didn't stop because of different spirit rings. As long as a spirit master absorbed a new spirit ring, it would evolve together. The conditions for evolution were just the same as for obtaining a new spirit ring, the spirit master's strength reaching the next stage. Under the conditions that Tang San already had a full 40 ranks, and the 8 spider lances had absorbed the energy most suitable to it, how would it still hesitate? Right now those originally 3-meter-long 8 spider lances gradually extended to 4 meters, and on the surface orderly rows of small barbs began to grow, exactly the same as the 6,000-year man-faced demon spider below him. The difference was that right now Tang San's 8 spider lanes completely appeared just as deathly pale as while draining, and under this pale white, red and white-colored light roamed dizzyingly to create a dazzlingly beautiful pattern on the 8 spider lances. Along with returning to consciousness, Tang San very quickly made a proper judgment about his own condition. He already inferred the reason from the circumstances of his body, and simply let the absorption continue. The benefits to his 8 spider lances from a similar man-faced demon spider were clear and easy to see. Even though right now he didn't know in what respect it would show, he still urged the spirit power within him to speed up the absorption. Even though the man-faced demon spider was immune to the similar to his own poison Tang San had, Tang San's 8 spider lances not only possessed the man-faced demon spider's poison, but also the ice and fire poisons from those 2 immortal treasure herbs. The 2 kinds of extreme ice and fire forces rising from the octagonal mysterious ice grass and infernal precious apricot wreaked havoc within its body, and further adding the destruction from the previous dragon flame. Right now this man-faced demon spider didn't have the slightest bit of strength to resist and could only let Tang San keep draining. Its vitality swiftly drained away, and the 8 spider legs supporting its body gradually softened, its whole body starting to lie down on the ground, its outer shell gradually turning ash-gray. Xiao Wu carefully put the yearning heartbroken red back in her chest. She also had her own grievances. There was a burst of lingering fear in her heart. If it wasn't for the yearning heartbroken red, perhaps she would have had to part with Tang San forever. Lu Erlong stood at Xiao Wu's side, stroking her head. Even though she didn't say anything, the ominous energy in her eyes largely left, instead revealing a tender expression. Xiao Wu raised her head, looking at Lu Erlong. She suddenly felt a kind of maternal brilliance from this brutish slaughtering corner. This kind of feeling was extremely cozy, and further adding her tiredness after sustaining injuries, she couldn't keep from leaning her head against Lu Erlong's soft thigh. "Good child, with me here, I won't let anyone or anything bully you again," Lu Erlong said softly. Everyone couldn't keep from looking at Lu Erlong with astonished gazes. Was this still that slaughtering corner that was just brimming with killing intent and seemingly looking to massacre everything? "Teacher Erlong." Xiao Wu's eyes revealed a grateful light, even so much that they had a somewhat teary brilliance. At this moment she recalled her own mother. Wouldn't her mother also frequently look at her with this kind of gaze? But she was already gone. "Xiao Wu, do you want to become my direct disciple?" Lu Erlong asked. Xiao Wu nodded without the slightest hesitation. "I do, teacher." She was clever, and while speaking she knelt and bowed to Lu Erlong as a student formally becoming apprenticed. Lu Erlong pulled Xiao Wu from the ground, letting her lean against her chest. "I don't need those cliched courtesies. Xiao Wu, teacher hasn't married all her life. Right now I still don't have any close relatives. I don't want you to call me teacher. If you don't dislike it, I would like you to call me mom." Hearing Lu Erlong say this, Flender to the side couldn't keep from sadly lowering his head, and Grandmaster's gaze was already stupid. Looking at her, for a moment all sorts of feelings welled up, lips quivering about to speak, but not a word came out. Xiao Wu was equally shocked. Looking at Lu Erlong's hopeful eyes, her already reddened beautiful eyes began to grow misty, and weeping held Lu Erlong tightly. "Mom, mom." Mom, this word was held such a significant place in Xiao Wu's heart. It had already been 8 years since her own mother left her. How much she wanted to call out this word. Right now Lu Erlong not only gave her a feeling of a replacement mother, but at the same time Xiao Wu found the comfort of maternal love. For a moment her heart surged, and she immediately revealed her true feelings. Lu Erlong softly caressed Xiao Wu's long scorpion braid, a faint smile on her pretty face, teardrops uncontrollably rolling down her face. She loved Grandmaster, but he never dared accept this taboo love. For all these years Lu Erlong's heart had been empty, but this moment it was like she found someone to entrust with her heart, placing her hopes on her just now accepted daughter. This moment it was as if Grandmaster's shadow over her heart rocked a little. While Lu Erlong sensed the pure feelings Xiao Wu released, in her heart she secretly vowed that even if she had to spend her life to protect her, she would still be willing. "Erlong, congratulations." Flender suppressed his dashing heart with difficulty, speaking to Lu Erlong who was smiling from ear to ear. Lu Erlong looked at Flender, a sentimental light in her eyes. "Boss Fu, I have a daughter." "Did you know? I have a daughter." "Yes, I know. From Herion, you won't be lonely, you have a daughter." Hearing Lu Erlong's words, Flender couldn't control the tears in his eyes. Didn't he also love Lu Erlong? For Lu Erlong's sake he had never married. For Lu Erlong and Grandmaster's sake he had buried that love deep within his heart. But he had never seen his beloved live happily. Could this be blamed on Grandmaster? No, it couldn't. It could only be blamed on how fate toys with people. At this moment, when he could feel Lu Erlong's current mood, how couldn't he be happy for her? Everyone stepped forward to congratulate her one after the other. Only Grandmaster stood there, unable to take even a step, his heart aching as he looked at Lu Erlong. He knew that he really owed her far too much. But between him and her it was as if a tight knot was tied, and no matter what it couldn't be undone. He was happy that Lu Erlong had obtained a daughter, but at the same time how couldn't he be sad for his and Lu Erlong's fate? How much didn't he want to hold Lu Erlong in his arms and declare his love for her? But it was impossible. That shadow of bloodline, that haze, always hung between them. Tang San finally finished draining, and a faint halo of light began to release from that 6,000-year man-faced demon spider. As long as he wished, Right now he could already absorb this spirit ring. But right now Tang San wasn't even slightly in the mood to absorb spirit rings. Withdrawing 8 spider lances, he rushed over to Xiao Wu and Lu Erlong. Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu. There were no tears in Tang San's eyes, but his voice was somewhat distorted. What kind of emotions would get his voice to change like this? Xiao Wu raised her head from Lu Erlong's bosom, and seeing Tang San almost within reach, her tears flowed even more uncontrollably. Lu Erlong sighed lightly, releasing her embrace and sending Xiao Wu towards Tang San. Despite all the people around them, and further the few spirit beasts glaring like tigers outside, Tang San didn't pay them any attention and fiercely spread his arms, burying Xiao Wu's delicate body deep in his own embrace. He didn't say anything about being sorry, but his teeth had already broken his lip. How couldn't he regret handing the fragrant, beautiful silk immortal treasure to Xiao Wu? If not for that, how would Xiao Wu have been ambushed? This wasn't the first time Xiao Wu had been hurt for him. Tang San hated himself, hated his inability to protect Xiao Wu. Lu Erlong raised her head to gaze at the sky, serenely saying, "You must never let me hear you let her down. Otherwise, no matter whose disciple you are, or what your background is, the giant Earth King from that day will be your example." Even though she didn't mention any names, everyone knew her words were aimed at Tang San. Softly patting Xiao Wu's back, Tang San released his embrace, the light in his eyes suddenly turning stubborn. From the wishful 100 treasure purse he pulled out a dark green leaf and stuffed it into Xiao Wu's mouth. At the same time he took the aromatic silk beauty immortal treasure from Xiao Wu's hand and returned it to the wishful 100 treasure purse. That was a dragon zoysia leaf with strong healing efficacy. It was also something he originally took from around the ice and fire yin-yang well. Xiao Wu swallowed the leaf, and a refreshing feeling immediately spread through her whole body, the tightness in her chest growing a lot better. Tang San gazed at the mountain peak to the side. Senior Dugu's secret cultivation grounds is in this mountain. Here there's an ice and fire yin-yang well rich in resources. If people or animals approach, they will definitely be influenced by the extreme cold and hot energies, and die suddenly after a short time. But this place is also where many heavenly treasures are born. The herbs I currently possess were all taken from here. The ice and fire yin-yang well is harmful to others, but because I once took 2 kinds of herbs it's instead beneficial to me. Absorbing the spirit ring here is bound to be twice the effect for half the effort. I'll trouble everyone to wait for me here. I'll finish absorbing the spirit ring as soon as possible. You must also by no means approach the ice and fire yin-yang well, to avoid being harmed by its energies. Giving a simple explanation, Tang San didn't pause. With that stubborn heart, in a few leaps he reached the side of that pit demon spider. Weaving blue-silver grass around that sinister spirit beast, the 8 spider lances on his back released and brought him towards the ice and fire yin-yang well with astonishing speed. Tang San's explanation soothed everyone, but his stubbornness was because of strength. Everything that happened just now proved that his strength was insufficient. The only thing he wanted right now was to become even stronger, gaining the strength to protect his companions and beloved. Watching Tang San pick the pit demon spider without a second thought, Xiao Wu was just about to say something but was stopped by Lu Erlong. Lu Erlong's low voice rose next to her ear. This kind of man is a true man. Relying on that stubbornness he will definitely succeed. As a woman, no matter what your man decides is right or wrong, you should always support him unconditionally. When he's right, you should be happy for him. Even if he's wrong, let him make his mistake. At worst, follow him to make it. Lu Erlong's words were nothing special, but her voice was brimming with sorrow, that sadness of the helpless. Xiao Wu muttered, "At worst, follow him to make it." "Mom, you're right. I should support him in all things." Lu Erlong's words seemed like a wide-open door for her, a realization. Xiao Wu suddenly felt a burst of relief. But on the other side, Grandmaster had an entirely different kind of feeling. Standing behind Lu Erlong and looking at her, Right now Grandmaster was unable to speak a single word. He resembled nothing more than a wooden statue, standing there dumbly without speaking for a long time. Flender looked at Grandmaster with a gloomy expression. "Xiao Gang, come with me, I need to talk to you." Speaking, Flender walked to the side, followed by the expressionless Grandmaster, giving people the impression of a walking corpse. Her eyes following Grandmaster, following Flender walking into the distance. Lu Erlong sighed to herself, "Oh, Xiao Gang, in all my life I can never love a second man. If you truly will not accept me, then I will only spend my last years like this. Fortunately, now I have a daughter. Now I somewhat understand what you feel for Tang San. At least, we can entrust our hearts to the children." Thinking of this, Lu Erlong suddenly had a feeling of her heart opening up to a wide panorama, her depression easing, her body much more relaxed. As the expression on her face relaxed, she seemed to become even more beautiful. Softly drawing in Xiao Wu's shoulder at her side, she gazed into the horizon. Tang San climbed the mountain and very quickly reached that familiar place. On returning to the ice and fire yin-yang well, he couldn't help being stunned by the scene before his eyes. The treasure ground that had originally practically been plundered by him had by now already recovered to a verdant and lush green. Even if there weren't such beautiful purples and brilliant reds as before, that full of vitality feeling made people feel comfortable. The ice and fire yin-yang well was worthy of being called a treasure ground. Those seeds Tang San left behind had already sprouted. Relying on that tenfold growth rate, after a brief half-year, this place was already pregnant with life. Even though it was impossible for immortal treasure herbs to appear here again quickly, at least this was still a treasure ground. In 100 or perhaps a few hundred years, it would restore its elegance again. Tang San threw the pit demon spider aside, the 8 spider lances without any restraint thrusting directly into its vitals. The vitality of this restrained sinister spirit beast constantly flowed out under the 8 spider lances' drain. Tang San's way of dealing with the pit demon spider was practically the same as when he killed the man-faced demon spider just now, but he discovered that even though the energy being swallowed let him feel more powerful for a brief time, that energy would very quickly flow away, without being absorbed by the external spirit bone like before. He understood that this should be because the 8 spider lances already absorbed sufficient energy for this time's evolution. This drain ability couldn't use outside force to transform itself after all. As for the reasons, it was very simple. One was because Tang San's mysterious heaven skill didn't have the method to retain this energy, and another was because the attributes of this energy was different. Not only wouldn't rashly absorbing it have any benefits, it would on the contrary be harmful. In a moment the pit demon spider was about to lose its life under the 8 spider lances, and the little eyes on its head were brimming with a fierce light. The corners of Tang San's mouth showed a trace of a monstrous smile, and the golden-purple light in his eyes suddenly intensified, just like 2 sharp swords piercing deep into the pit demon spider's eyes. The pit demon spider's massive body shook, and Tang San used this chance to launch the poison and drain of 8 spider lances at full effect. The violent struggling gradually faded, and the pit demon spider's life finally reached the end. From what Xiao Wu said about soul shock, Tang San figured the way to resolve it was to use his purple demon eye, suddenly shocking the pit demon spider's soul when it was on the verge of death, making its resentment dissipate in the moment before its death. Like this, the subconscious soul shock would naturally also subsequently fade, and absorbing the spirit ring would become a lot easier. Faint black light began to release from the pit demon spider's body, condensing next to him. The spirit ring's power appearing proved that this 10,000-year spirit beast had finally lost its life. Tang San removed his clothes and, spreading his arms, directly leapt into that yang spring hot enough to melt gold, and afterwards swam to where the 2 kinds of spring water flowed together. To other people, there was nothing about these 2 springs that wasn't fatal, but to Tang San, who had taken the octagonal mysterious ice grass and infernal precious apricot, the sensation being in the ice and fire yin-yang well gave him was only warm or refreshingly cool. The two different energies simultaneously merged into him, conforming with the immortal treasure herbs within his body, quietly moving rhythmically. Tang San lay flat in the spring waters, slowly raising his right hand. Blue-purple light emitted from his palm, and blue-silver grass issued a summons to the pit demon spider's spirit ring on the shore. The black energy flow finally found a drainage channel, and rushed towards Tang San's right hand like a river running into the sea. The split second that black energy came into contact with the blue-silver grass in Tang San's palm, intense ripples suddenly rose in the ice and fire yin-yang well's waters with Tang San as the center. Tang San choosing this place to absorb his spirit ring was the result of careful deliberation. The ice and fire yin-yang well would not only not be harmful to him thanks to the two immortal treasure herbs he took, but would on the contrary nourish him, imperceptibly forming a protective layer within his body. And because of the spring waters, the medicinal properties of the two immortal treasure herbs within him would also be completely roused, forming a second protective layer. Further adding the external spirit bone on his back, even though a 10,000-year spirit beast spirit ring held tremendous energy, in order to harm him it would still have to pass these three protective layers first. With Tang San's strength he could absorb a 6,000-year spirit beast spirit ring. Right now with these three safeguards, he naturally had a very large chance of success when absorbing a pit demon spider that had just entered the 10,000-year level. This was also an important reason why he dared make the attempt. Plan and practice will always be different. Right now this also went for Tang San's circumstances. Without truly trying, he would never have been able to know just how tremendous the spirit power of a 10,000-year spirit ring was. The split second that black energy flow reached his right hand and entered his body, Tang San only felt the surrounding light dim, as if he was submerged in a tidal wave that reached the sky. This was in no way an exaggeration. The spirit ring's energy that entered him filled every nook and corner of his body in a split second. There wasn't even any need for him to circulate it himself, that enormous energy already forced the motion. The pit demon spider's spirit power wasn't as overbearing as the man-faced demon spider's, but it was brimming with a dark and cold feeling. Cold-like that was different from the cold of the ice and fire yin-yang well. It was a cold that evolved from the depths of the mind, a dark and cold attack on the psyche. Tang San's nerves seemed to have already grown numb in this cold. The three original spirit rings oscillated with frightening speeds over him, making him look like he was encased in a giant yellowish-purple cocoon. The rank bypassing absorption this time brought not only pain to Tang San, but also a horrifying feeling. His preparations were indeed perfect. The energy from the ice and fire yin-yang well successfully filtered the impurities out of the pit demon spider spirit ring. However, the energy was still too massive for Tang San at that moment. Every attack made Tang San feel like he was tossed around ruthlessly, as if his body wasn't his anymore, and all he could do was watch detachedly. The feeling of no control was even more unbearable than the pain that came with the man-faced demon spider spirit ring. With last time's experience, Tang San knew that he couldn't do anything about it except wait and strengthen his resolve. No matter what happened to his body, he knew he couldn't panic. Or else, in a moment, he would be engulfed by the massive energy. A black current unceasingly flowed out of the 10,000-year pit demon spider, constantly getting absorbed by Tang San. The glow on his three spirit rings slowly faded, replaced with a layer of black currents. Tang San's bones continuously emitted bursts of cracking noises. The black current entered from every pore and into every energy channel. Very soon, Tang San discovered every time the massive black energy passed through the broken open yang linking meridian and penetrating meridian, the energy would weaken a bit, as if the two meridians were absorbing energy as well. This feeling made Tang San instantly elated. He vaguely understood that the existence and breaking open of the 8 extraordinary meridians helped specially with absorbing foreign energy. It was a pity he only had 2 meridians broken through. If he had more than 4 broken through, the absorption of this 10,000-year spirit ring might become a piece of cake. Gradually, the pain appeared. It was a swollen pain. From the outside, Tang San's body didn't change, but in his senses, he clearly felt his entire body swell up like a giant balloon, as if it could explode any second. Although the black current stored up within his body was absorbed continuously by Tang San's penetrating meridian and the yang linking meridian, the energy coming in was also getting greater and greater. Every bone and energy channel of his was tingling, as if innumerable ants were crawling over him. The ice and fire yin-yang well and the 2 immortal herbs he once ate started to show their uses. After experiencing the process of ice and fire alchemical body, Tang San's energy channels had become very durable. Though the black current kept expanding his energy channels, the elasticity of his energy channels meant there were no signs of rupturing. The pit demon spider's spirit ring energy, though massive, wasn't endless. When the output of energy reached its extreme, Tang San's energy channels had been filled to a very horrifying degree. But even then, he still persevered. At that moment, no pain could waver his resolve. For himself, and also for Xiao Wu, he knew he couldn't fail. The pit demon spider's body silently shattered, the result of losing all its energy. The only thing it could do now was become fertilizer for the ground. Pain started sliding down from its peak. Not only the penetrating meridian and the yang linking meridian, but accompanying the circulation of spirit power, Tang San's normal energy channels started absorbing the foreign energy as well, merging it into his mysterious heaven skill. The reason the energy within spirit rings could be absorbed is because after the energy of the spirit beast forms a spirit ring, it splits into 2 parts. One is pure and filtered energy to raise the spirit master's rank, letting them gain the next title, and the other big half inherits the spirit beast's characteristics. This different energy condenses into a spirit ring, becoming the spirit master's spirit ability. Accompanying the gradual decrease in swelling, pain decreased as well. The feeling of relaxation lulled Tang San's weary mind. It was in the last part of the absorption that he slowly fell into slumber, letting the ice and fire yin-yang well nourish his body. If anyone could see Tang San's face, they would discover his face was continuously changing colors. A moment white, a moment red, a moment black. And other than the original 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit rings, a black spirit ring was slowly appearing from the misty currents. Perhaps Tang San wasn't the only one that had a 10,000-year spirit ring for his 4th spirit ring, but undeniably, he was one of the more gifted ones. Blue-silver grass had evolved once again. So what if it was blue-silver grass? So what if it was a trash spirit? Under Tang San's effort, it still held the same power as formidable spirits of equal rank. Xiao Gang, tell me the truth. How are you going to manage your relationship with Erlong? Flender stared at Grandmaster, his gaze very angry. Grandmaster stared blankly back at Flender. I don't know. You don't know. 20 years. Tell me, how many 20 years does a person have? A woman's youth was wasted in vain just because of your... I don't know. Though I'm your brother, I still really want to slap you. Grandmaster smiled bitterly. Slap then, but leave me a breath to stay alive. I don't want to make Erlong sad if I die. In reality, even I want to slap myself. This is all my fault, but Erlong bears the same amount of pain, if not more, than me. Looking at Grandmaster's smile that looked worse than crying, Flender went silent. He also knew that Grandmaster didn't do anything wrong. If he really took in Lu Erlong, then it would be incest. Grandmaster rejected Lu Erlong not because of himself, but for Erlong's reputation. He didn't want Erlong to take up such a heavy shame because of himself. At that time Grandmaster chose to leave because of that very reason. However, he didn't anticipate that Lu Erlong loved him that deeply, always painfully waiting for him until now. Flender sighed. Xiao Gang, is there really no way? If it keeps going like this, though you guys haven't had incest, you guys will spend the rest of your lives in pain. You should be able to see, other than you, Erlong can't love any other man. If you really must keep hurting her like that, then why don't you just leave? At least, she won't be able to see you, and she might feel better. Grandmaster silently nodded his head. I'll leave after we go back. You're right, I shouldn't stay with her and let her feel this pain. Flender, It's been this many years and I never said thank you. For our relationship, you've also borne pain. Sorry, Flender. Flender's eyes moistened. What silliness are you spouting? I'm your big brother. I was before, I am now, and I will be, forever. I don't need you to say thanks. I just want to see you happy with Erlong. Do you understand? Xiao Gang, you bastard. Why are you so obstinate? Don't tell me you can't go live in seclusion after you join with Erlong. If you don't tell anyone, who will know of your sibling relationship? Grandmaster raised his right fist and hammered his left chest. But, I can't lie to my heart. I really can't. Flender suddenly had a flash of intuition and thought of a possibility. Xiao Gang, tell me, do you love Erlong? Grandmaster stared unexpectedly. Boss Fu, are questions like that still meaningful? If I didn't love her, then would it still be this way? Flender suddenly had a devious smile. Then good, I'm sure Erlong loves you deeply as well. Then, spiritually you guys have had incest already, I can say as much. Grandmaster was furious. That was all he was trying to protect, but when he looked at Flender's eyes, he couldn't think of a single rebuttal. He was right, they were in love, so spiritually they have gone off track already. If it wasn't incest, then what was it? Flender, I know you mean well. But, spiritual is spiritual. At least, our bodies are both still pure. Flender smiled slightly and said, as long as you admit you've had spiritual incest. And also, I believe, it will stay that way. Since you've already had incest spiritually, why don't you merge with her spiritually? No need for real titles, just the recognition from each other. You can totally be a couple spiritually. Grandmaster this time really blanked out. Flender, I don't get what you mean. Flender said exasperated, you're that smart, what don't you understand? My idea is simple. You can merge still and become a couple, just don't change your titles. According to your current idea, as long as there isn't a bodily relationship, it isn't called incest. You can start at emotions and stop at motions. Then, as long as you are in love spiritually and keep pure bodies, then who can gossip about you? Volume 13. The Fourth Spirit Ability. Chapter 89. Tang San's Fourth Spirit Ability. Hearing Flender's words, Grandmaster heartbeat, and he muttered, Is something like this really possible? Flender grandiosely said, Is there anything impossible? At least like this, both your hearts will feel a lot better. As long as you defend that last perimeter and keep apart every night, is there anything bad about being able to feel each other's love? Let alone cousins, even if you were siblings, so what? You are only kinder and love each other, so outsiders will only see the affection of siblings, even that conservative heart of yours wouldn't have any objections. Listening to Flender, Grandmaster stood there completely lifeless like a sculpture. After a very long time, a sentence fiercely leapt out of Grandmaster's mouth, Flender, why didn't you say so long ago? Leaving behind these words, Grandmaster sharply dashed away, dashing towards Lu Erlong as if flying. As a result of his speed, the teardrops he left in the air formed graceful strings of water. Erlong, I can finally love you fairly. As long as I can love you, what need is there for being physical? Spiritual love is already enough. Watching Grandmaster's receding back, Flender's face showed a heartfelt smile. Xiao Gang, you idiot, being together rubbing heads day after day, don't tell me you can truly hold back. Seeing Grandmaster madly dashing over, Lu Erlong's heart couldn't help skipping a beat. Grandmaster rushed over in front of Lu Erlong. Staring at Lu Erlong's somewhat perplexed beautiful eyes, suddenly he fiercely spread his arms and used all his strength to embrace Lu Erlong to his chest. Erlong, I'm sorry. Just these 3 words seemed to open a sluice gate for tears. Lu Erlong just felt everything before her eyes go fuzzy, and right now she couldn't use even the slightest bit of her more than 70th ranked spirit power. She completely softened in Grandmaster's embrace, tears flooding down. She had already waited far too long for these words. 20 years, just like Flender said, it had already been 20 years. How had she dealt with these 20 years? Even if she was even stronger on the surface, in the end she was still a woman. What woman didn't long to be cherished by her beloved? What woman didn't long for her own happiness? Perhaps it was because this happiness really arrived too suddenly, but Lu Erlong only felt her body flutter like in a dream, as if everything was imaginary. Flender quietly waved his hand to Zhao Wuji, Xiao Wu and the others. Everyone slowly retreated to the side, setting aside a wide space for Grandmaster and Lu Erlong alone. Outside of the poison formation, because the aromatic silk beauty immortal treasure disappeared, the last remaining spirit beasts also unwillingly left, and along with their disappearance, the surroundings went quiet. Xiao Gang, do you know how long I've waited? More than 7,000 days and nights. Do you know how I've endured? You really won't escape, you really want to be with me. Lu Erlong lost her voice from crying, leaning over Grandmaster's shoulder and mumbling. Grandmaster nodded sharply. Erlong, I'm sorry, I swear, afterwards I will never again run from our feelings. Even if we perhaps can't be like normal married couples, I will definitely always guard at your side and love you. Immediately, Grandmaster explained the idea Flender spoke about before. Lu Erlong, constantly leaning against his chest, listened quietly, and as she heard Grandmaster speak about having the love of a husband and wife, but without the true time of a husband and wife, she understood. Grandmaster still couldn't completely throw off that obstruction, but, after waiting for so many years, with great difficulty getting the man before her to agree not to run away, at least he agreed to stay at her side and love her. Why would she force him for more? Perhaps it was because of taking Xiao Wu as an adopted daughter had greatly influenced Lu Erlong's emotions, but right now in her heart she only felt like letting nature take its course. Obediently within Grandmaster's embrace, first being together with the person she loved was most important. After an hour, Zhu Zhuqing had smoothly absorbed the Phantom Tiger's spirit ring and returned together with Dai Mabai. It seemed that her aura had become even colder, her countenance with a bit of heroic spirit, and she was also a little bit taller. Even though she still didn't have Xiao Wu's height, only looking at external appearances she already felt like she had the grace of an adult beauty. The addition of the spirit ring's properties would no doubt cause a certain change in the spirit master's body. Even though the Shrek 7 devils were still very young, they still had at least 3 spirit rings, and the additional energy from the spirit rings promoted their physical growth. Their faces still possessed the innocence of childhood, but by external appearances they were already close to adults. Compared to 1 year ago, everyone seemed to have grown several years. As long as they didn't tell anyone, it would perhaps be very difficult for someone to imagine that the youngest of the Shrek 7 devils still hadn't turned 14. The next to return was Ning Rongrong, and her face wasn't as pale as Oscar's. Previously, when Lu Erlong butchered the unicorn-armored beast, Oscar had kept her company at her side the whole time, covering her eyes, constantly comforting her at her side. Once Ning Rongrong began to absorb the spirit ring, Oscar had run aside to vomit. After vomiting, he cleaned up the terrifying mess Lu Erlong had made. Consequently, after Ning Rongrong absorbed the spirit ring, she hadn't seen any nauseating scene, and her condition was instead much better than Oscar. By now, of the Shrek 7 devils only Tang San still didn't return, and everyone quietly waited within the poison formation. Lu Erlong nestled against Grandmaster's chest, and with her eyes closed fell asleep. For 20 years she hadn't slept as smoothly as she did right now. Seeing the contented smile she revealed as she slept, Grandmaster had a kind of indescribable satisfaction in his heart. Flender and Zhao Wuji sat on the other side speaking about something in low voices. Watching Grandmaster and Lu Erlong's current appearances, Flender's heart relaxed a lot, his face revealing a difficult-to-conceal smile. Zhu Zhuqing silently sat together with Dai Mabai. Even though her expression was still cold, she didn't oppose Dai Mabai sitting practically pasted to her. Ning Rongrong and Oscar's situation was about the same, only Ning Rongrong's expression was instead tender, taking the initiative to lean on Oscar's shoulder, talking to him about something with a smile on her face. Judging by her excited smile, she should have obtained no small benefit from the 4th spirit ring. Fatty had consumed a lot of spirit power before and leaned alone against a big tree cultivating, condensing his spirit power. Xiao Wu wasn't far away, and though with the condition of her injuries what she should do the most was harmonize her spirit power to heal, she couldn't calm her heart. The others had all returned, and they only lacked Tang San. How couldn't she be anxious? Sitting and leaning back, she constantly prayed silently for Tang San. And not just her, no matter the others' expressions, deep in the corners of their eyes was some worry. Even though Tang San himself said he had absolute certainty, but the spirit ring level gap was really too large. 2 hours passed, and Xiao Wu told herself that absorbing such a powerful spirit ring would definitely take time. 4 hours passed, and Xiao Wu told herself that it should still be a while. 6 hours passed, and Xiao Wu constantly told herself, hurry, hurry. 8 hours passed, and the sky gradually darkened. Xiao Wu stood there, looking at the distant mountain peak where Tang San disappeared, in her heart constantly shouting, "Gee, why are you still not back?" 10 hours passed. Night gradually deepened. Tears constantly flowed from Xiao Wu's eyes, not stopping no matter who came to console her. Right now, in her heart was only one thought, gee, as long as you can return alive, even if you don't have the slightest bit of strength, even if you've become an ordinary person, or even handicapped, I'll still be happy. As long as you're alive. Waiting for 10 hours was what kind of torture? Not just Xiao Wu, the others also became fretful. If not for Grandmaster stopping him, everyone would already have gone up the mountain to take a look. Moonlight illuminated the ground, the shining clean brightness making long shadows of all the Shrek Academy people on the ground. Xiao Wu's heart also gradually became ice cold and despairing, the expectation in her eyes changing in the deathly stillness. At this moment, suddenly, a clear and resonant long whistle resounded. In the quiet night, the energy in that long whistle was completely clear. Just like a fuse had been lit, the Shrek 7 devils simultaneously stood up. A flaming excitement ignited frantically in Xiao Wu's close to despairing eyes, and she ran recklessly with all her strength towards the mountain. Gee, gee, she shouted. Her voice had already become hoarse from crying. She only wanted to be the first to see that fated man. Yes, that long whistle was Tang San's. At the mountaintop, Tang San's slender figure made a long shadow in the moonlight. He didn't rely on 8 spider lances to descend the mountain, but rather leapt up high, blue-silver grass forming an umbrella behind him to drop down the mountain. 2 silhouettes, one falling from the sky, one scrambling as if it meant her life, came closer in the radiance of that full moon, closer. At last, those 2 silhouettes met 1/3 of the way up the mountain, 2 becoming 1, tightly clinging to each other on the mountainside, witnessed by the bright moon. Tang San had become taller, and his muscles also more sturdy. That warm embrace was like a perfect nest, and the moment Xiao Wu threw herself inside, she already completely lost consciousness in satisfaction. Even though Xiao Wu had been dosed with Oscar's recovery sausage and Tang San's dragon zoysia leaf, she still hadn't harmonized her breath. 10 hours of bitter waiting. If she hadn't been supported by that last conviction, she would long ago have been unable to endure. Finally letting her awaited Tang San return, the relaxation of her taut heartstrings finally let her body bring her into unconsciousness out of self-preservation. Folding his arms around Xiao Wu's slender legs, Tang San held her close. Even though Xiao Wu hadn't had time to say anything, at this moment how couldn't he understand what Xiao Wu endured? This night Tang San held Xiao Wu as she slept. Not only didn't he escape out of embarrassment this time, but he moreover let Xiao Wu rest at his chest all along. This night Tang San didn't sleep, his hand from beginning to end massaging the blood flow at Xiao Wu's back. This night nobody went to disturb them, just like nobody went to disturb Grandmaster and Lu Erlong. To the 11 members of the Shrek Academy party, this night wasn't tranquil. From this night on, the Shrek 7 devils truly started to transform into powers. Even though there were twists and turns, at long last they accomplished their objective this time. Early the next morning, After everyone woke from sleep, Flender, perhaps afraid of new branches growing from old knots, urged everyone to leave the sunset forest as soon as possible. As Dean, the heaviest responsibility clearly rested on Flender's shoulders, let alone several of these Shrek's 7 devil children having profound backgrounds. Even if they didn't, as Dean he still didn't want to see any one of them suffer any injuries in this dangerous place. Everyone had already obtained their spirit rings, so he would naturally be urgent to immediately leave. After being treated by Tang San for a night, Xiao Wu had already recovered for the most part. After waking early, she didn't say anything about the events of last night, but her gaze at Tang San was even more reluctant to part. Little San, what is your 4th spirit ability? Let us see. While leaving the forest, Oscar bumped Tang San's shoulder with his own. Tang San smiled slightly, saying, "It's nothing much. It's more or less the same as the ability the pit demon spider used yesterday, with some variations." You really want to see? Of course. You're the first of us to get a 10,000-year spirit ring, show us. Their dialogue also attracted the others' attention, not just the Shrek's 7 devils, but Grandmaster and Flender and the others also wanted to see just what kind of spirit ability Tang San had received from that pit demon spider. Fine. Tang San's eyes revealed a trace of an evil smile. Raising his right hand, deep blue light rushed out from the palm of his hand. A strand of blue-silver grass appeared in Tang San's palm. Apparently, its thickness wasn't much different than before, the only difference was its color. The current blue-silver grass had unexpectedly turned completely black, giving people a kind of stifling feeling. Most shocking was still those simultaneously appearing 4 spirit rings. 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black. 200 year, 1,000 year, 1 10,000 year. 4 spirit rings revolved around Tang San, moving up and down. The spirit rings came out with an incorporeal pressure that immediately made Oscar take several steps back, the expression on Tang San's body giving people a feeling of impenetrable mystery. In a moment, that black spirit ring quietly brightened. Compared to the dazzlingly beautiful 1,000-year spirit ring, the feeling the 10,000-year spirit ring gave was grave and reserved. Without the slightest warning, 16 strands of pitch-black blue-silver grass suddenly rushed out from the ground around Oscar, converging above his head to form a prisoner cage. As a result of not having made any energy fluctuations, Oscar basically didn't have any thought of dodging, and further adding the speed with which these 16 strands of blue-silver grass appeared. By the time he reacted, this blue-silver grass pen was already strong like refined steel. This is my 4th spirit ability. Born from the pit demon spider's spiderweb prisoner cage. Since my cage uses blue-silver grass, I call it blue-silver prison. Dai Mabai raised his hand to flick that pitch-black blue-silver grass, causing a sonorous clang. The soft blue-silver grass unexpectedly became as solid as steel under the effect of the spirit ability. Dai Mabai drew a deep breath and released his own spirit with a great roar. White light surging from his right fist, condensed spirit power bombarding one of the 16 strands of blue-silver grass. With a peng sound, that strand of blue-silver grass immediately showed a fine crack, and under Dai Mabai's next blow it shattered, becoming faint black light and disappearing. Ma Hongjun frowned. This seems very ordinary. Apparently it's not as durable as the spider web restraint. Third brother, is this all there is to a 10,000-year spirit ability? Is that so? Tang San's eyes revealed a strange smile. Black light once again sprung up around him, and in practically a split second, besides he and Xiao Wu, black light appeared underfoot of even Flender, Lu Erlong, Grandmaster and Zhao Wuji. In just the blink of an eye, another 8 blue-silver prisons appeared, trapping everyone inside. Even powers like Flender and Lu Erlong couldn't dodge when faced with the completely warningless suddenly appearing black-blue-silver grass, and were instantly trapped. Flender couldn't keep his expression from changing and involuntarily cried out, "It's a crowd control ability." But this isn't something a control system spirit master under the 50th rank can possess. The capability to control the battlefield with poison the poison spirit master Dugu Yan originally showed could also be called a crowd control ability, but compared to the blue-silver prison Tang San used, it was practically comparing heaven to underground. What was true crowd control? Only leaving the opponent completely without chance of dodging, instantly locking down each opponent. This could be called crowd control. One blue-silver prison might not count for much when a 40-something ranked power attack system spirit master like Dai Mabai could rely on his strength to break it. But, breaking through the cage required time, and that time was enough to let the control system spirit master's companions cause a great deal of trouble. Even more, this 10,000-year spirit ability of Tang San's was a crowd control ability in the true sense of the word. Perhaps its power wasn't as awesome as the spider web restraint, and also didn't have the adherence and intense poison, but the spirit power consumed by each blue-silver prison was only a tenth of that of the spider web restraint. Tang San waved his right hand, and the light of the fourth spirit ring vanished. All the black blue-silver grass instantly entered the ground and disappeared unseen, as if they had never been. In this time's spirit beast hunt, the one with the greatest bounty was no doubt Tang San. Not only did he obtain this ideal crowd control ability, but at the same time his external spirit bone 8 spider lances also obtained its ideal evolution. Relying on a lowest end spirit, not only didn't he fall behind his companions, but his strength even kept slightly ahead of the Shrek 7 devils. Fatty now also came to himself. Third brother, can this ability of yours coordinate with mine? Tang San smiled. Of course it can. Blue-silver prison can be considered a first move control ability, while that Phoenix Cry Heaven strike of yours contains a finishing move control ability. As long as they can be used flexibly, they can naturally display our most powerful attack power. Flender, somewhat pondering, said, I think, giving him the assignment to become champions was a bit easy. Even as the founder of Shrek Academy, I feel the power of this group of little monsters is a bit abnormal. Lu Erlong let a laugh escape, saying, Come on, you're sighing too hard. Are you still bragging about yourself? Flender feigned anger. Well, Erlong, I just helped you fulfill your wishes and you at once answer me like that. You're lucky your old brother is good to you. Lu Erlong smiled without speaking, hugging Grandmaster's arm tightly. After obtaining the fourth spirit abilities, the Shrek 7 Devil's strength had once again made a qualitative leap. Evil Eye White Tiger Dai Mabai, 44th rank power attack system battle spirit ancestor, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, White Tiger Barrier, White Tiger Light Wave, White Tiger Vajra Transformation, White Tiger Meteor Shower. Sausage Monopoly Oscar, 41st rank food system tool spirit ancestor, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, Big Recovery Sausage, Small Detoxifying Sausage, Swift Flight Mushroom Sausage, Stimulating Pink Sausage. Thousand Hands Asura Tang San, 41st ranked control system battle spirit ancestor, 2 yellow, 1 purple and 1 black spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, Binding, Parasite, Spider Web Restraint, Blue-Silver Prison. Evil Fire Phoenix Ma Hongjun, 41st ranked power attack system battle spirit ancestor, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, Phoenix Firewire, Bathing Fire Phoenix, Phoenix Ascension, Phoenix Cry Sky Strike. Soft-boned Demon Rabbit Co. Wu, 37th ranked power attack system battle spirit elder, 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit rings, 3 spirit abilities separately were, Waste Bow, Demon Confusion, Teleportation. 7 treasure glazed tile Ning Rongrong, 41st ranked auxiliary system tool spirit ancestor, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, Strength Amplification, Agility Amplification, Spirit Power Amplification, Defense Amplification. Hell Civet Zhu Zhuqing, 41st ranked agility attack system spirit ancestor, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings, 4 great spirit abilities separately were, Hell Thrust, Hell 100 Claws, Hell Decapitation, Hell Shadow Doppelganger. Besides Co. Wu, the other 6 had completely climbed the 40th rank threshold. Dai Mabai had even reached a terrifying 44th ranked spirit power at the age of 17. There were no accidents on the return trip, and the party of 11 smoothly returned to Shrek Academy. By now there were only 5 days until the start of the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Tournament preliminaries. Grandmaster gave the Shrek 7 Devils 1 day of rest, and early the next morning had them gather in the forest behind the teaching block for their final training. What was worth mentioning was, to prevent Shrek's 7 Devils from having not enough people due to injuries in future battles, Tai Long, who was rank 38 and had the vigorous orangutan spirit, was temporarily recruited into the team. Others that were recruited were 3 rank 35 advanced class spirit masters as reserve team members for the Shrek 7 Devils. The latter 4 recruits, other than Tai Long, were each rank 35 power attack system battle spirit elder, Huang Yuan, male, spirit, lone wolf. Spirit rings, 2 yellow 1 purple. Rank 35 agility attack system battle spirit elder, Jingling, male, spirit, skeleton. Spirit rings, 2 yellow 1 purple. Rank 35 healing system tool spirit master, Jiangzhu, female, spirit, healing scepter. Spirit rings, 2 yellow 1 purple. Before the Shrek 7 Devils came, or perhaps before the academy became Shrek Academy, Tai Long and those 3 were all part of the main force for this year's Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament, educated by Lu Erlong herself, the elites of the academy. If not for this tournament, with their capabilities, they could have graduated ages ago. As for being Shrek 7 Devils substitutes, none of them had any complaints. After seeing Tang San destroying rank 58 strength-type spirit King Tai Nuo, who would have complaints about them? Even though the youngest of the 4, Jiangzhu, was already 19. Grandmaster, Flender, and Lu Erlong, after discussing, recruited those 4 into the academy team. Their plan was simple, to switch out the Shrek 7 Devils sometimes in the easier battles to lessen their exhaustion. The Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament wasn't only a fight between Spirit Master academies. It is a major event in the entire Spirit Master world. From the preliminaries, to the promotion stage, and to the final stage, it would be 3 months in total. In this long period of time, who could say the Shrek 7 Devils wouldn't accidentally get hurt and lose the ability to continue? Because there had to be at least 7 Spirit Masters cooperating, every match the Academy had to send at least 7 people up. Having a certain number of hands for the roster was essential. Everyone sit. Grandmaster waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to sit where they were. Possibly because of the solving of his dilemma, Grandmaster's face was rosier than normal. The Shrek 7 Devils and the 4 substitutes all sat in a circle around Grandmaster, quietly listening to his explanations. In a few more days, the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament will commence. I will tell you the rules today. As he spoke, he kicked the drowsy Ma Hongjun's butt. He didn't look at him and continued, "Don't object, rules are rules, and they might be exploited for advantage. Strength is important in the competition, but you must also clearly understand the rules. Otherwise, it's very possible that others might use them against you." After getting kicked by Grandmaster, Fatty stuck his tongue out and didn't dare to be neglectful anymore. His little eyes brightened just as he saw Jiangzhu on the opposite side of him. Jiangzhu, 19 years old, was a few years older than the Shrek 7 Devils. 1.65 meters tall, her maroon hair was very unique. A soft look, though not as eye-catching as Zhu Zhuqing, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong, but was definitely still a beauty. What most attracted Fatty's eyes was her ripe body. Everywhere that should be round wasn't flat. Fatty didn't notice before, but now he instantly had a problem sitting still. Though he solved his evil fire problems, he had been to the brothels already and was fully aware of the birds and the bees. He was more knowledgeable about it than some adults. Yet in Shrek 7 Devils, he was the only one by himself. The rest were all couples, so how could Fatty not be envious? Jiangzhu naturally noticed Ma Hongjun looking at her. She blinked her eyes and smiled warmly, examining the only one of Shrek's 7 devils with an abnormal body type. The Academy's students didn't have much time with Shrek's 7 devils, so in Jiang Zhu's eyes, the only 14 Ma Hongjun was but a chubby little brother, with a cute big head and ears. How would she know Fatty's brain was full of vulgar thoughts? Grandmaster continued. The Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament is hosted by Heaven Du and Star Luo Empire's royal families, assisted by Spirit Hall. It is the greatest spirit fight and the participants are only weaker than the Spirit Hall Elite selection. In the rules, there are a few that still need obeying. First of all participants must be under 25 and every team must ensure there are 7 every match. Second, the matches are only friendly interactions, so try to refrain from hurting or crippling your opponents. Deaths are definitely not allowed, and once it happens, not only does the school have to pay for the losses, but they will also be disqualified. Grandmaster, this one might not be appropriate. Dai Mabai rose his hand to interrupt Grandmaster. Spirit abilities have no eyes. What if we accidentally kill people? If the two sides are of similar strength, fighting all out will inevitably cause incidents. Grandmaster looked towards Dai Mabai and said solemnly, "What you say is correct. But, you need to know that the reason the 2 empires are hosting this tournament is not to let all the schools fight for a victory, but to find the best talented people to recruit. Including Spirit Palace and the kingdoms within the 2 empires, they all have similar thoughts. Those that can represent advanced Spirit Master Academies are all people of outstanding talent as well as the future of the Spirit Master world. Nurturing a Spirit Master is very difficult, and the amount of Spirit Masters in the entire continent was never more than 1 million. Prohibiting killing might be a restriction, but it is also protection for you kids. From my perspective, this rule is very correct." Dai Mabai still disapproved of the rule. Though he didn't like killing, he hated a sense of restriction when fighting even more. Grandmaster continued. Other than these 2 strict rules, the others are standard. Everything is based on fairness. For example, during the match, no using food or medicine created by non-participating Spirit Masters. Only food or healing system Spirit Masters on the stage can replenish their teammates. In other words, if you want to obtain supplements on the stage, then a support-type Spirit Master must take up 1 stop. This is to prevent teams with food system Spirit Masters from cheating. Also, you can't use weapons other than your own spirit. Because of this, Tang San, the hidden weapons you make can't be used in this tournament. You must remember this, or else we will be disqualified instantly. Getting to there, Grandmaster paused. The main rules are these. If anything else needs to be mentioned, I will tell you during the tournament. Now, let's talk about the system of this tournament. While he was talking, Grandmaster took a wooden stick he prepared and drew 2 connecting circles in the ground. These 2 circles represent the 2 empires. He then drew a small circle that touched both large circles. This one represents the Spirit Palace. Within the 2 empires, there are almost 100 advanced Spirit Master Academies. Every academy has a chance to participate, and the 2 empires' official advanced Spirit Master Academies will have 2 slots L. For example, Heaven Du Empire has Heaven Du Imperial Academy. These 2 official teams will be split into a main team and a secondary team. The main team will be advanced to the finals phase instantly, which is a guarantee for the 2 royal families. The secondary team will be with everyone else, participating in the preliminaries. Grandmaster then drew a few circles inside the 2 large circles. The preliminaries are split into areas. Within, with Heaven Du City as the center, within Heaven Du Empire's bounds, all that do not belong to a kingdom or dukedom will come to this area for the preliminaries. All the academies of the kingdoms and dukedoms will be matched based on their areas. Heaven Du Empire has 4 kingdoms and 1 dukedom. In other words, counting the Heaven Du area, there will be 6 preliminary areas. Other than the 1 team that is in the finals already, these 6 areas will be fighting over 15 spots. Because our area has a lot of academies and is also directly subordinate to the empire, there will be 5 spots to fight over. Every other area has 2 spots. Star Luo Empire is almost identical to Heaven Du Empire, which means, through the preliminaries, the amount of teams that go to the next stage will be 30. These 30 teams will all participate in the finals. But before participating, there will be a promotion stage. This promotion stage is a ranking of the 30 teams to decide the order of matches in the finals. Volume 13. The Fourth Spirit Ability. Chapter 90. Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. The qualifying phase of the tournament has a different format from the promotional phase. The combat format of the qualifying phase is what you are all most familiar with, 7-member team battles. It is a round-robin competition where the 5 teams with the most victories will proceed to the promotional phase. The format of the promotional phase of the tournament is special. The competing teams are still limited to 7 members, but the battles are now one-on-one singles with the victorious team member staying on the field to face successive members of the opposing team, until the students on one side have all lost. As a result, the qualifying phase can be said to demonstrate the combat prowess of the team as a whole, while the promotional phase is used as a stage to demonstrate each member's individual prowess. As to the reason for having a promotional phase, it's for the 2 empires and the Spirit Hall to more easily recognize spectacular talents within the competing teams. The finals phase has 33 teams competing, and the format is random draw bracket single round elimination. Grandmaster, please wait a moment, Oscar interrupted, as he asked with some confusion, Grandmaster, did you not just say that the 2 empires both have 1 seeded team and 15 normal teams that advances through the qualifying and promotional phases? If so, that adds up to 32 teams competing in the finals. Where does the 33rd comes from? Grandmaster smiled slightly. I had forgotten to mention it. The finals doesn't have 2 seeded teams but 3. The 3rd seed comes from the Spirit Hall's own personal team, and this team can be said to have the highest potential for victory. Although the Spirit Hall isn't an advanced Spirit Master Academy, it most definitely has its own organization that trains their younger Spirit Masters. In the previous 3 Advanced Spirit Master Championships, other than Star Luo Empire winning once, the other 2 victories were all taken by the Spirit Hall teams. They will also be your most powerful competitors in this tournament. From my experiences, the team Spirit Hall is sending out this time will definitely be stronger than the Emperor team you met before. The Shrek 7 devils looked at each other, but what they saw in each other's eyes was not worry but burning curiosity and excitement. After experiencing so much combat in the spirit area and even becoming a never-before-seen rank 30 gold spirit fighting team, what they wanted most now was exactly a powerful opponent. Without a powerful opponent, how else would they be able to better hone their abilities? The promotional phase will decide the ranking of each empire's teams separately, from rank 1 to 15. The benefits of this ranking will become apparent in the finals phase. The finals phase's format is single-round elimination. Each round, there will be a few teams that draw empty brackets. The first round, the teams with empty brackets will be the 3 seeds. The other 30 teams will face off against one another with the 15 winning teams attending the next round of battles. In the second round, including the 3 seed teams, there will be 18 teams left. This time, from the remaining teams, the 2 teams that ranked first in the promotional phase will face an empty bracket. The other 16 teams will face off with the 8 winning ones progressing to the 3rd round. The 3rd round will have 10 teams in total with again, the 2 highest ranking ones drawing blank brackets. Those that have already drawn blank brackets will not get another chance. After the 3rd round, the remaining teams should be the 6 strongest teams of the championship. This time, there will be no empty brackets. The 4th round will still rely on blind ballot to decide the opposing teams, with the winning ones being the final 3 teams. In order to ensure fairness in the placement of the last 3 teams, the teams must undergo both group and individual elimination battles. First of all is the individual elimination contest, similar to the format of the promotional phase. The 3 teams will proceed in alternating order. Each team will send out 1 member. The first 2 will face off against each other, with the winner facing the member from the 3rd team, until the 2 of the teams run out of members. The team of the winner will direct head to the finals. The two losing team will then face off in group combat to compete for the chance at the finals. The last two teams at the finals will then compete for the champion title in the final fight of the championship. After listening to Grandmaster's long explanation, Ma Hongjun was unable to hold back. Grandmaster, why is this competition so complicated? Just listening is making me dizzy. Dai Mabai snapped. What's there to be confused about? It doesn't matter what kind of rules there are. As long as we win every single battle, at the end won't we be the champions? Grandmaster Slighted nodded. Mabai's right. You should become familiar with the different phases of the championship, but in the face of absolute strength, it's not the most important. During the tournament, I will remind you of the specific rules and help you analyze your opponents. Now everyone stand up. For these last couple of days, what you need to do is to practice mock combat. Oh, right, there's something I must remind you. For the Heaven Do Division qualifying phase, you 7 little monster can only have 3 people participating in battles at any one time. Furthermore, Rongrong will absolutely never appear during the qualifying phase. I will have a special training regimen for her during this time. Ah, only 3. Even Tang San couldn't help but be shocked. Grandmaster replied with a stern look. What? You have something to complain about? During the qualifying phase, the team will consist of Tai Long, Huang Yuan, Jing Ling and Jiang Zhu 4 people. The remaining 3 will be for you to decide amongst yourselves, with Rongrong being the exception. Tang San probed. Teacher, is this to hide our power? But, what if we lose? Grandmaster calmly said. What? Do you not even have this much confidence? Your true opponents are in the promotional and finals phases. The qualifying phase will definitely not pose any problem. If you were to expose the entirety of your strengths now for everyone to see, then won't it be much harder for you to achieve victory later? Tang San thought deeply about Grandmaster's words and only after exchanging a glance with Dai Mabai, nodded his head. Teacher, I understand. Grandmaster clapped the shoulder of disciple he was proud of and said, I knew you would understand. The actual combat tactics on the field will be for you to decide. The team members that will participate is also up to you. All I can advise you is that, during the qualifying phase, the less you Shrek 7 devils show yourselves, the better. In the finals phase, the opponents you will face will be even stronger than what you can imagine. You have only one goal. For this goal, give it your all. In the following few days, the Shrek Academy's team members participating in this championship underwent combat training under the directions of Grandmaster. Especially for the 4 new additions, each day was passed under Grandmaster's millstone. Trying to create a coherent team of Spirit Masters was not an easy goal to reach, but if in this team, there was an exceptional control system Spirit Master, then everything would become much simpler. Tang San doubtlessly could take on such a role, and under his deployment and leadership, the 4 new members slowly became familiar with the Shrek 7 Devils fighting methods. At the same time, Tang San also confirmed the members that will participate in the qualifying phase. The main force would consist of 4 of the Shrek 7 monsters. Although the qualifying phase was not very important, they still needed to guarantee a spot for advancement. Therefore Tang San decided that the roster would be, including himself who had to appear, Evil Eye White Tiger Dai Mabai, who possessed the strongest spirit power, food system Spirit Master Big Sausage Uncle Oscar, as well as close quarters power attack system Spirit Master Xiao Wu. Fatty, Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong would stay hidden. All preparation had been finished. 3 days later, Heaven Do Empire Capital, Heaven Do City. Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament, Heaven Do Division opening commemoration was being hosted by Heaven Do City in a magnificent ceremony. Being the largest Spirit Master competition within the Spirit Master world, this championship did not only attract the attention of Spirit Masters. From the imperial families, nobilities to the commoners, every single citizen in Heaven Do City saw this competition as their biggest festival. The opening ceremony would be held in the Heaven Do Grand Spirit Arena. As early as a month ago, the tickets to the ceremony had already been completely sold out. The price for these tickets was the same as the ones to enter the central arena ring of the Spirit Arena. As the main competition arena of the Heaven Do division, the Heaven Do Grand Spirit Arena had already stopped all arena battles a month beforehand to undergo interior remodeling. All sub-arenas within the Spirit Arena had been merged with the central arena ring to form a massive stadium for the competition. Excluding the VIP section which remained in the entire north side of the area, the remodeled Spirit area could now hold 80,000 spectators at the same time. The revenue from the ticket sales was large, but so was the amount the Spirit Arena had spent. For the next period of time, all matches of the qualifying phase in the Heaven Do division would take place here. In the early twilight before the sun had yet to rise from the east, the newly remodeled Heaven Do Spirit Arena had already attracted an enormous crowd of spectators. Having arrived so early, these audience members would obviously not be given early access to the arena, because each ticket had its own designated seating. What these people were here for on the first day of the opening ceremony was to have a closer look at the young spirit masters attending this competition. Among the crowd, there were numerous young maidens with hopeful gazes. It was just as Grandmaster had said before, the number of spirit masters on the entire continent added together was less than 6 figures. The students that could represent their advanced academies and attend this important competition were even more the cream of the crop. Furthermore, with the age restriction of 25, they were without a doubt the best targets for these girls with romance in their hearts. If they were able to marry a powerful spirit master, fame and fortune would doubtlessly follow. Even some of nobles who had bought tickets for the VIP area were also gathered outside. For the nobility, scouting spirit masters was always exciting, never boring. The Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament was by its nature a cradle for talented people. Let alone those that achieved favorable results in this competition, even the students that were just participating would become objects of desire for nobles and powerful clans. Right now, with Heaven Do Great Arena as its heart, practically a third of Heaven Do City was a scene of an unbroken sea of people. Starting from several days ago, every level in Heaven Do City was filled. The population of the city had gone up by practically 50%. This showed the attraction the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament had on people. For the sake of this tournament, Heaven Do City had been transferred a whole 5,000 city guardsmen to keep order, to as far as possible prevent disturbances. Wah, so much people! Ning Rongrong couldn't keep from crying out in surprise. Looking east or looking west, this was the first time she had seen such an amount of people. Oscar served as flower-guarding emissary, guarding at Ning Rongrong's side, as far as possible keeping his head down, not letting other people see his appearance. It wasn't just Oscar. Besides a few dazzled girls, whether it was the Shrek 7 Devils or the several substitutes, right now they all kept their heads down. Because the clothing they wore really made them blush from shame. The official Shrek Academy uniform wasn't any common green, but rather a color somewhere between yellow and green. Using Dai Mabai's words to describe it, snot green. For the sake of this academy tournament, Dean Flender had these uniforms specially made according to his strange sense of aesthetics. The fabric was actually pretty good, and it was also comfortable. But besides the snot green, each person's chest was also practically covered by a large Shrek monster design, and the color of this design was a bright emerald green. This still wasn't much. Most out of the ordinary was on each person's back, several big words embroidered in red silk, looking for advertisers. Below these big words was still a row of smaller ones. For advertising fees, please call on Shrek Academy's Dean, Mr. Flender, for a personal meeting. Because of this competition uniform, the Shrek 7 Devils had once resisted violently, but in the end they were still suppressed by Flender's abuse of authority. In front of everyone's supreme efforts, Flender just expressed reluctance. If they truly had sponsors, then out of the whole advertisement income they could take out 1/3 to pay for their competing team members, and the rest set apart for the Academy's construction funds. To Dai Mabai, Zhu Zhuqing and Tang San, this sum of money might not be anything. But to the others, money was still very important. Even more, Tang San and the others had all seen the original circumstances of the Shrek Academy. Having now with great difficulty found the chance to earn money, they still couldn't too easily contradict Flender. Even though this dean was a bit treacherous and sly, it really hadn't been easy for him to support the academy for all these years. Of course, the Shrek 7 Devils also once asked Grandmaster for help, but his reply was also extremely out of the ordinary. Grandmaster told them that even though this uniform was a bit unsightly, it was also a kind of practice for their inner qualities. If they could keep from changing under everyone's jeers and laughter, then their psychological qualities would also have reached a certain degree. The Shrek 7 Devils secretly whispered that this was clearly to toughen the thickness of their face. Grandmaster used his position as academy representative to, along with Flender, refuse to wear such a uniform, and they only had a small and very inconspicuous Shrek design on their left lapels. It was precisely because of this unusual attire that just as Tang San and the others were about to enter the crowd, they immediately attracted special attention. What academy is that? Heavens, did they just crawl out from a latrine? I'm dying from laughing. That green monster design on their chests is really too adorable. Why do the ears look like trumpets? Look, on their backs they're still recruiting some advertising. Is an Advanced Spirit Master Academy like this real? Can they still participate in the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament? It's too funny. There really are all kinds of birds in the woods. Be quiet, they're still Spirit Masters. Only, I expect they're only going through the motions. Look at that fatty, it's like he's growing into a ball. If there was a crack in the ground right now, then the 11 Shrek Academy students would perhaps be pushing each other aside to be first to squeeze into it. Even if they had a measure of mental preparation, they still hadn't expected there would be so many people outside the Great Spirit Arena. It was like they were on display. Moreover, it was the model of negative attention. Unable to change their appearance, Tang San was the first to pull out the Shrek mask they originally brought when participating at the Spirit Arena tournament, and the Shrek 7 Devils hastily copied him one by one. The pitiful late members with Tai Long didn't have such equipment, and could only cover their faces with their hands, like that, getting more and more embarrassed. Flender walked forward with an, "I don't know these people behind me," appearance, and bore into the crowd with big steps, the speed of Grandmaster and Lu Erlong following behind him not a bit slower. Tang San finally understood what was meant by wanting to cry but lacking tears. Right now, if he could choose to instead confront a 50th ranked Spirit Master team, he still wouldn't choose to be put on display here. Fortunately, there were very many teams that came to participate in the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament, representing close to 30 academies, and the majority of the crowd's interest was still attracted by those groups, allowing the Shrek party to squeeze into the Heaven Do Great Spirit Arena after their hardships. All the teams that came to participate were for the most part dressed bright and neat. Even though they were all dressed in their academy uniforms, none were as out of the ordinary as the Shrek Academy. Dressed up in those beautiful golden, silver, red, white, with all sorts of decorations, designs and academy insignia uniforms, each and every one of the young Spirit Masters stepped forward to enter the Great Spirit Arena like heroes with their heads held high. With imposing appearance and displaying bravery, abundantly looking disdainfully at the world. Having broken into the Heaven Do Great Spirit Arena, the Shrek Academy party all loosed a breath. Tang San and Dai Mabai looked face to face, their eyes full of helplessness. When leaving the tournament, no matter what you say, I won't wear this. Too damaging to my heroic image. Ma Hongjun took off the mask from his face and complained. This tournament didn't permit covering their faces, and right now everyone had the urge to immediately leave this place because of their clothes. Participating when attired like this was really too embarrassing. Fortunately, today was the opening ceremony, and the first day of the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. Apart from the opening ceremony, there would only be one match. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy secondary team would conduct the first match of the round-robin tournament against the first opponent they drew. It could also be considered to be a spirit fight with something of a show nature. Otherwise, with only the opening ceremonies, it clearly couldn't attract the interest of the audience. This Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament had a cash prize, and moreover unusually direct. Each pre-selection match victory would award 500 gold spirit coins, and entering the promotion competition would reward an additional 3,000 gold spirit coins. If they could enter the finals, Heaven Do Empire would not only award the title of Baron, but would also reward each member of the team 1,000 gold spirit coins, regardless of whether they were regular or reserve members. As for the bonus of the last finals, it would be even higher. For the sake of the advertisements on the back of the Shrek 7 Devils, Flender had already renounced this income. In other words, any reward would be returned to the team members. Tang San comforting said, "Anyway, the odds of us appearing on stage today is low. After returning we'll talk it over with Dean Flender again, and no matter what is said we won't wear these clothes tomorrow. We have to at least drop the letters on the back." Right now, the Shrek Academy party stood in a specially arranged rest area for competing academies within the main arena. They weren't the first to enter, but also weren't the last here. Within the expansive rest area were more than 1,000 seats, split into sections, to be used for the Spirit Master Academies to rest and wait. Even though there wasn't as many people here as outside, along with the Advanced Spirit Master Academy participant teams entering, the Shrek Academy group still became the focal point. Despite already having done their utmost to find a corner, they still attracted a lot of attention. But the inner qualities of spirit masters would always be a lot higher than that of ordinary people, and although there was no lack of despising gazes and disdainful expressions, there weren't a lot of comments. Each academy's team members were gathered together by each team's teacher, waiting for the opening ceremony. At the same time, each academy also had a teacher do the final sign-up registry confirmation work. Once the competing students were properly registered, thereafter in the tournament, they couldn't again add or change members. Not long after, Flender came waltzing back. "Yi, what are you doing running into a corner like this?" Seeing the students' unkind gazes, Flender coughed somewhat awkwardly. Then we'll be here. The sign-up formalities have already been completed, and in a moment you will enter for the opening ceremonies. Each and every one of you be a bit spirited, don't lose face for our Shrek Academy. You must be the champion team. Champion, toads still want to be champions. At this moment, a disharmonious voice came from the side. The Shrek Academy students nursed a bellyful of anger, and suddenly hearing this voice they immediately turned sharply to look in its direction. That was an academy team standing close to them. Speaking of, by true coincidence, among this team were some the Shrek 7 Devils recognized. It was precisely the ones they encountered when they originally left for the Stardew Great Forest to get their third spirit rings, students from Blue Sunshine Academy. They still had those moon-white spirit master robes, the two words, Blue Sunshine, embroidered within a circle on their shoulders in blue-green. What was different was that this time their team uniforms all had silver decorations, appearing even more dazzling than before. Right now, among the Shrek 7 Devils only Fatty had taken off his mask, and among the Blue Sunshine Academy's 10-plus students, there were only 2 that originally met them, and therefore they didn't recognize these people. "Who did you say is a toad?" The first to leap up was Tai Long. "The ones wearing snot-green uniforms is who?" I think you all still lack a green hat. Adding that, it would truly be perfect." The speaker was a youth appearing 20 years old, a person Tang San and the others had never seen before, with a somewhat pale face, slim build, and a pair of small eyes filled with disdain and contempt. "I'll show you who is a toad." Tai Long directly swung his fist. He never had a good temper, and being directly taunted, how could he endure? "Tai Long, come back." Tang San's voice rose. Just about to swing, Tai Long had no choice but to halt in midair, turning his head to look at Tang San. "Young Master San, I." Tang San spoke calmly. "What use is talking big? If you want to fight, wait until we're on the stage. Don't you know it's prohibited for Spirit Master Academies to fight each other here?" This is some group of little white dogs. Don't they have an owner? Take them away quickly. Tang San's expression was very serene under his mask. At most he only looked a bit impatient, not even facing the Blue Sunshine Academy people as he spoke. Who are you calling a dog? The Blue Sunshine Academy people didn't have much self-restraint, and surrounded them in an instant, each and every one with threatening manners. Apparently they really had a bit of strength. Dai Mabai with perfect cooperation said, "The ones barking are the dogs. A group of masterless strays, even. Little San, even though we can't fight here, self-defense is always all right. I don't mind sending these little white dogs back home." The Blue Sunshine Academy people were angry, but at this moment a forceful voice echoed, "What are you doing?" On hearing this voice, the Blue Sunshine Academy students' complexion immediately turned ingratiating, and hastily separated. A 60-year-old man came walking up from behind them, also wearing moon-white spirit master attire, only his embroidery was golden. Flender had always kept aside as a cool-eyed bystander, but on seeing this person he couldn't keep the expression in his eyes from pulsing. Ma Hongjun whistled. "Oh, the little white dog's owner came. Quickly take away these dogs of yours. They're noisy when left here. It wouldn't be good if they happened to piss in a public space." Against the Shrek Academy group's expectations, that old man only swept his gaze across Ma Hongjun without flaring up, but on the contrary shouting in a deep voice, "Go." Finished speaking, he turned and headed towards the other side of the rest area. The Blue Sunshine Academy students all looked at each other, but none dared say anything and they obediently followed him away. Fatty laughed loudly, saying, "The owner is sure enough different, really obedient." "Fine, Fatty." Flender glared at Ma Hongjun. The latter shut his mouth, but there was a somewhat unreconciled light in his eyes. Flender's brows furrowed, saying, "I didn't expect that old fellow to actually have gone to Blue Sunshine Academy. It seems that the quality of the Blue Sunshine Academy's students in this competition should be pretty good. Don't tell me that impetuousness just now was an act." Ma Hongjun was the closest to Flender and hastily asked, "Teacher, who was that old man just now?" "You know him." Flender nodded. "That old man is called Shi Nyan. His spirit is extremely unusual. It's a kind of special intangible spirit, capable of causing all kinds of illusions, losing people inside. His current strength should be enough to disable and kill people within the illusions. We call his spirit Cruel Dream. This old fellow is extremely sinister. Don't just look at his calm and collected surface, it's actually the corners of the eyes that will tell. You must all be a bit careful for me. When I knew him his spirit power was more than 60th rank, by now it might have reached more than the 70th. Illusions. Was there still such a spirit? The Shrek 7 devils couldn't help being alarmed, in their minds reflecting on how it could be withstood, but for the most part they were at a loss. Flender said, "His spirit is extremely difficult to deal with. Even spirit masters more powerful than him wouldn't want to fight him. All right, the opening ceremonies are about to begin, prepare to enter. Mabai, Tang San, the two of you led everyone inside. I'll leave first to see your heroic appearance from the stands." Before anyone had the chance to protest, this dean had already taken to his feet and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Sure enough, the tournament functionaries soon entered the rest area, organizing the now all-present academies to enter the arena. Making the Shrek Academy team somewhat pissed was that those functionaries apparently ignored their existence. One after another the other teams were sent into the arena, but they alone were forgotten. Only finally, when they were the only team remaining in the rest area, did a functionary walk over, taking them to the passage into the arena. If it wasn't for Tang San and Dai Mabai suppressing him, the fire choked back in Fatty's belly would already have had signs of erupting. Even though they were last to enter the arena, the instant they arrived they were still shocked by everything they saw. Around the enormous wide open space were countless shouting and cheering spectators. Just ahead in the middle was a platform against a golden backdrop, and behind the platform were the remodeled VIP seats. The diameter of the expansive space surpassed 150 meters, and in the center the academies that had already entered were arranged in neat formations. Each academy that entered was introduced by the Master of Ceremonies on the platform. Last to enter is the Shrek Academy team. Shrek Academy, originally Blue Tyrant Academy, changed its name to Shrek 1 year ago. Look, in the distinct exotic attire, altogether 11 competing students. Their sign-up slogan is, "Unchallenged Champions." Truly a very expressive slogan. I hope they can make an outstanding display. Hearing the officiant's words, the spectators in the stands roared with laughter, heckling calls rising and falling in succession. Fuck. I can't stand it. As Dai Mabai walked forward he clenched his fists, and Tang San walking behind him could clearly sense how Dai Mabai's muscles tensed, about to erupt at any moment. Boss, patience. Wait until the matches. We'll shut him up with strength. Tang San clapped Dai Mabai's shoulder. Dai Mabai turned to glance at Tang San, and with a deep breath he managed to calm himself. If it had only been him, he might have already erupted, but he knew that as team captain, if he couldn't control himself, how could he lead the team? Finally all the teams had entered the arena. The Shrek Academy group stood furthest back. Tang San didn't pay any attention to the jeers, and constantly observed their surroundings. This Great Spirit Arena was undoubtedly the biggest he had ever seen. Enough stands to hold 80,000 spectators, backed with silver decorations. Even though it was morning, the specially suspended magic tool illumination didn't only seem lavish, but still gave a feeling of vast space. As his gaze fell on the VIP platform, he unexpectedly saw a few acquaintances. One of them was the one who originally drove them away from Heaven Du Imperial Academy, Prince Zhu Xing, and also Heaven Du Imperial Academy's 3 committee members. They all sat in the second row of the VIP seats, and in the first row were only 3 people. The man in the middle wore gold and red robes, on his head a brilliant gold crown, his face like an old moon, and though apparently a bit older than Prince Zhu Xing, they still resembled one another. The difference was, this man's bearing was far from what Prince Zhu Xing could compare to. Despite appearing a bit aged, sitting there straight-backed he have people a feeling of being central. As if everything in the surroundings centered on him. Without need to ask, Tang San could guess this man's identity. If even Prince Zhu Xing sat in the second row, then the identity of this man in the first row was obvious. Besides Heaven Du Empire's emperor, who could sit in this seat. Sitting to his left was an old man even older than him. Dressed entirely in red robes, wearing a pentagonal platinum hat, both eyes small as if he was asleep, with slim shoulders and a slender build like a javelin. The person on the emperor's right, Tang San wasn't just familiar with, but moreover knew well. Ning Rongrong's father, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School's master, Ning Fengji. Today Ning Fengji wore white robes, on his head the emblematic 7 Treasures purple and gold hat. As schoolmaster of one of the upper 3 sects of the 7 great schools, he was perfectly entitled to sitting here. As for the red-robed man on the other side, from the pentagonal platinum hat, Tang San could determine that this was Spirit Hall's platinum bishop. Spirit Hall's highest ruler was no doubt the Supreme Pontiff, and under the Supreme Pontiff were 4 archbishops, their identity symbolized by the pentagonal platinum hat. This person here was no doubt one of the platinum bishops. Able to qualify as platinum bishop, this person should be the Hall Master of Heaven Du City's Spirit Temple. At this moment, Ning Fengji apparently sensed Tang San looking at him. Gaze roaming, he just met Tang San's eyes, smiling faintly at him and nodding slightly. The Wolf Spirit Power Attacker, the Bone Spirit Speed Attacker, the Healing Staff Spirit assist the ones they encountered when eating dinner at the hotel the day before entering the forest, with the Black Tortoise Teacher. Volume 13. The 4th Spirit Ability. Chapter 91. Pre-selection First Match, begins. The officiant on the side of the VIP platform said in a clear voice, "Next, please welcome His Majesty, Heaven Du Empire's Emperor, to declare this tournament open." Just like Tang San guessed, the person seated in the center of the VIP section's first row, His Majesty the Heaven Du Empire's Emperor wearing gold and red robes, slowly stood amidst thunderous applause. Raising his right hand to wave at the spectator seats as well as the competing spirit masters below, the applause quickly stopped, and the vast space became quiet. A grave and clear voice transmitted to the entire audience via sound-amplifying spirit tools, "I, Emperor of Heaven Du Empire, Zhu Yi, represents Heaven Du Empire, and also this time's tournament host to declare, the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament now open." Applause thundered once again, cheers rising and falling. But in the center of the arena, Tang San suddenly discovered that this emperor's smiling expression was a bit forced, as if he himself wasn't particularly excited for this tournament. After waiting for this round of applause to die down once again, the emperor continued, "Here, I hope, the spirit masters participating in this tournament can amply display their strength and obtain good records. You are all the pride of Heaven Du Empire. For the sake of the empire's glory, display your brilliance." Applause rose for a third time, and this time the eyes of the spirit masters in the center revealed a scorching brightness. To them, this tournament was the best stage to reveal themselves. The emperor sat back in his seat, and the officiant's voice rose once again. "Next, please welcome the 7 treasure-glazed tile school's schoolmaster, Mr. Ning Fengji, to address this time's tournament." Along with Ning Fengji getting up, applause rose once again, and there were even more attentive gazers. Who didn't want to take a look at the grace of the Spirit Master, world's #1 support Spirit Master? Ning Fengji smiled slightly, holding both hands together. "I'm very happy to be invited as an honored guest to this tournament opening. As schoolmaster of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, I have already seen very many spirit masters grow. As the continent's noblest vocation, each spirit master must experience many things to grow. In my experience, a sword's point comes from sharpening, and plum blossom fragrance follows bitter cold. The spirit masters joining this tournament are undoubtedly the elite of the young generation. Just as His Majesty just said, I hope you can win honor for the Empire, and also for your own academies. The Empire needs your talent. Thank you." Listening to Ning Fengji's address, the Heaven Du Emperor finally revealed a sincere smile. The officiant said, "Schoolmaster Ning, you are the most formidable support system Spirit Master, so I represent the spectators of the battles this time to ask, among the 28 teams joining the Heaven Du City District's pre-selection competition, which one do you support?" Ning Fengji still wore a slight smile. Besides Heaven Du Imperial Academy's first team entering the finals as seeds, among these 28 teams, I still think highly of one other. I think that they possess not only the capability to pass the pre-selection tournament, but at the same time may very possibly obtain the final victory of this Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. The officiant said, astonished. "May we know which team could gain Schoolmaster Ning's favor?" Ning Fengji smiled mysteriously, saying, "As for which academy this team belongs to, forgive me for holding back the climax. For the moment I can't reveal it, but I believe that the final champions of this tournament will certainly belong to the Empire." Sitting next to Emperor Zhu Yi, the Platinum Bishop at this moment opened the eyes he had so far kept almost closed. His eyes appeared very turbid, without any luster, and his gaze fell on the 28 competing teams in the center of the arena, as if searching for the team Ning Fengji spoke of. By now the spectators had already begun discussing, everyone speculating on which academy Ning Fengji supported. With a bit of thought it was clear that Ning Fengji wouldn't be indicating Heaven Du Imperial Academy's second team. Since their strength couldn't compare to the first team, how could they be the final champions? But there were 28 teams in the pre-selection tournament, and in the end only 5 teams could remain. How would it be so easy to guess? Ning Fengji sat back down, and the officiant smiling said, "I regret that Schoolmaster Ning won't reveal the team he supports." Next, Heaven Du City's Spirit Temple Hall Master, Spirit Hall Platinum Bishop, Lord Salus, will conduct the pre-selection competition's first round draw. Afterwards, Heaven Du Imperial Academy's secondary team will fight their first drawn matchup. This is also the only match today. Platinum Bishop Salas slowly stood, and was led by a maid to the side of the officiant, starting to draw the lots. He was apparently very unwilling to speak, and each pair of opponents he drew was announced by the officiant. Pre-selection competition first round, Blue Sunshine Academy vs Purple Star Academy. Pre-selection competition first round, Auckland Academy vs Blazing Radiance Academy. Pre-selection competition first round, Heaven Do Imperial Academy vs Shrek Academy. The Shrek Academy group didn't pay much attention to the rest of the matchups. When they heard their first opponent would actually be Heaven Do Imperial Academy's second team, everyone couldn't help their expressions becoming grotesque. Oscar muttered, "Such an unlikely coincidence." Ma Hongjun squeezed his fingers, issuing bone-popping noises. "Excellent. They aren't rushing us off. This time we'll let them have a look at what's called strength." Tang San and Dai Mabai smiled wryly. They were naturally looking forward to fighting Heaven Do Imperial Academy, but becoming the focus of the tournament's first day in their present attire was really somewhat. Not just the Shrek Academy people were astonished, the audience was too. The other academies might not have paid attention, but the Shrek Academy was really too gaudy. How couldn't they attract notice? For a moment, jeers flowed continuously. Very many spectators were all shouting the word fraud. Heaven Do Imperial Academy's second team was clearly looking for pushovers, and Shrek Academy didn't seem like a Spirit Master team as much as a pack of clowns. The lottery done, that Platinum Bishop Salas swept his gaze across everyone, indifferently saying, "I drew the lots, and sensed no falsehood. I swear on the honor of Spirit Hall. At the same time, I hereby declare, of the participating Spirit Master Academy students, Spirit Hall will make an exception for anyone capable of reaching the finals, letting him directly enter Spirit Temple." These words weren't anything to the spectators, but the Spirit Masters were already in an uproar. What kind of place was Spirit Temple? It was the highest place in Spirit Hall apart from Supreme Pontiff Palace and Douluo Palace. In the entire continent only the two great imperial capitals had one each. Supreme Pontiff Palace was for the Supreme Pontiff's use, and Douluo Palace was a symbolic existence. Therefore, the Spirit Temple's position were in fact the highest-ranked institutions in Spirit Hall. To a Spirit Master, being able to directly enter Spirit Temple could be a shortcut to improving his strength. Not only would he have the best treatment, but all kinds of cultivation aids as well as Spirit Temple's prestige. No part lacked extreme attraction to ordinary Spirit Masters. Hearing the Platinum Bishop's words, Emperor Zhu Yi's expression clearly dropped. Ning Fengji on his side softly shook his head at the Emperor, and Emperor Zhu Yi's complexion eased somewhat. The people nearby were behind them and naturally didn't catch this little exchange, and the Spirit Masters below were very far away. But this didn't escape Tang San's purple demon eye. He clearly saw the subtleties within, and combined with what Grandmaster had once told him about some matters, Tang San understood that the conflict between Spirit Hall and the Empire was already growing deeper and deeper, almost to the degree where it couldn't be reconciled. Otherwise, that Platinum Bishop wouldn't dare recruit outstanding Spirit Masters right in front of this Emperor. Good. Then next we will conduct the first match of the first round of the pre-selection competition, Heaven Do Imperial Academy facing Shrek Academy. All competing academies leave the field. The two academies taking part in the match later please prepare. In 1 hour, the match will formally begin. Third brother, let me go up. Fatty didn't pay the slightest attention to those contemptuous expressions in their surroundings, and spoke to Tang San while rubbing his fists and wiping his palms. Tang San glared at him. We'll follow the original plan. No need to argue. Tai Long laughed out loud and clapped Fatty's shoulder. Junior, don't worry. Later Big Brother will help you properly teach those Heaven Do Imperial Academy fellows a lesson. Fatty deflated like a ball. If one described his current expression with 2 words, it would be secret grudges. As a result of the other academies not competing today, after stepping off the field, they directly left the rest area, guided by functionaries to specially prepared viewing platforms for competitors to watch the fights. Because the Heaven Do Imperial Academy was the symbol of the Heaven Do Imperial family, They were naturally treated different from normal academies and didn't rest here. Inside the vast rest area, very quickly remained only the Shrek Academy team. Flender, Grandmaster, and Lu Erlong weren't here. Clearly, this match was left in their control. Dai Mabai lowered his voice. Little San, you plan it. Tang San didn't need to be urged, nodding. When we go up we'll have Dai Mabai, me, Xiao Wu, Jing Ling, Huang Yuan, Jian Zhu, Tai Long. We'll attack according to the first plan. At that time we suffered that kind of humiliation at Heaven Du Imperial Academy, even though it was caused by Prince Zhu Xing. The Heaven Du Imperial Academy symbolizes the imperial family. Dean Flender and the other teachers aren't here, but we understand what they think. If we want to have a good future, then today we must thoroughly smash our opponent. I think, to us, 1 minute should be enough. Tai Mabai's tiger palms slapped together, the 4 pupils of his evil eyes glinting ominously. That's right, we only need 1 minute. An incorporeal harsh atmosphere spread in Tang San and Dai Mabai's hearts. The scene of that time they powerlessly withdrew from Heaven Du Imperial Academy in front of Dugu Bo would never be erased from their minds. Even though Tang San didn't say it clearly, everyone understood that they not only had to prevail over this Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team, they still had to keep them from passing this time's qualifying competition. Not long after, a special functionary arrived and hurried everyone to the stage. The organizers clearly weren't optimistic about their chances, and they were even brought by just one functionary. Just as they were leaving the mouth of passage, the Shrek Academy group could already hear the officiant outside declaring the names and spirits of each member of the Heaven Du Imperial Academy team. Golden beams of light shot down on the high stage from the side of the Great Spirit Arena, accompanying each member of the Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team as they appeared. Before speaking of strength, the Heaven Du Imperial Academy members were excellent in terms of appearance. The faintly golden uniforms had the words, Heaven Du, embroidered on the left side of the chest, and on the back was a design of 7 silver stars, the symbol of Heaven Du Imperial Academy. Each one was valiant and formidable looking, all appearing over 20 years old. Under the illumination of those spirit tools, even though it was daytime, they still seemed to release a dazzling radiance, just like little golden suns, attracting the audience's attention. Fuck, they're clearly taking us as extras, setting off this kind of fireworks. Huang Yuan said angrily, even though this lone wolf spirit master's stature wasn't as doughty as Tai Long, he was still fairly robust. Like Dai Mabai, he was also a power attack system spirit master. Because of his straightforward nature, he was very quickly accepted by the Shrek 7 Devils. To the side, Jing Ling uneasily said, wrong. We're not extras, but considered cow dung. Fresh flowers stuck on top of manure, isn't that even more dazzling? Contrary to Lone Wolf, his appearance was somewhat wretched. The slender agility attack system spirit master gave a somewhat feminine impression. Together with him, most people would feel uneasy. His cold gaze at people was like a poisonous snake, and even when everyone were exchanging pointers, he would never let himself be in a disadvantageous position. He would frequently team up to attack, but when defending there would rarely be a trace of him. He was called a coward by the ferocious male students Dai Mabai, Huang Yuan, and Tai Long, but fortunately, this fellow only had a somewhat strange character, and his strength was still fairly outstanding. We'll let them know who is manure. Tai Long resolutely waved his fist. Dai Mabai coldly said, let's go. It's our turn to go up. The lights in the arena faded, and the Shrek Academy competing students slowly went on stage amidst loud hissing voices. In the arena there had already occurred a change. In just that brief half hour, a long ago prepared stage had been constructed. The stage was 10 meters tall and circular, with a diameter of 30 meters, a fairly large area. Of course, this was still only one stage. Once the pre-selection competition truly started tomorrow, there would be 5 stages here simultaneously. The 28 teams would conduct 27 rounds of the pre-selection competition, each team confronting 27 opponents. The victors would obtain 1 point, the defeated none. After 27 rounds, the 5 teams with the most points would advance to the promotion competition. And entering the promotion competition was equal to entering the finals. This month-long qualifying competition was equal to a trial for each of the academy teams. 27 days of continuous matches was enough for teams that lacked endurance to collapse. In the entire Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament, this pre-selection competition would occupy the first half of the time. The finals after the promotion competition would take place on the common border of the Heaven Du Empire and Star Luo Empire, in the public plaza in front of the Supreme Pontiff Palace. The final champions would be issued the award by the Supreme Pontiff personally, an immense honor. It truly was a difference in treatment. Tang San squinted slightly, the expression on his face still serene. Together with Dai Mabai, they brought the Shrek Academy's altogether 11 members into a line in the center of the stage, standing opposite to the Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team's members. This Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team had altogether 16 members. At that time the Shrek Academy only stayed at the Heaven Du Imperial Academy for a very short time, and these people naturally didn't recognize Tang San and the others. These aristocratic children naturally looked even more at the Shrek Academy members' attire. If this hadn't been on stage, some of them might have already burst out laughing. Truly a group of toads. This type also participates in the Spirit Master Tournament. Standing furthest ahead in the Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team was a petite male student. His skin was fair, and his long hair also very beautiful, seemingly like a girl. Even his voice was soft and feminine. "Captain, why would we draw an opponent like this? Toads on your foot really won't bite people, but are still disgusting. Look at those uniforms, I'll die laughing." A gorgeously dressed female student with ample chest next to the petite man covered her mouth as she spoke. That gesture was apparently for fear of smelling the Shrek Academy students. That captain nodded consideringly, his gaze somewhat lecherously floating over to Xiao Wu. "It's only a pity on such a little beauty." Xiao Wu snorted coldly, "A hermaphrodite and a prostitute, how did we draw an opponent like this? Little slut, who are you calling a prostitute?" That hot-bodied female student immediately flipped out. That male student addressed as a hermaphrodite also immediately went ashen. Dai Mabai laughed out loud, "Xiao Wu, you're too talented. Why didn't I think of such a good description? Hermaphrodite and prostitute. Really a perfect match." The Heaven Du Imperial Academy second team's petite captain coldly said, "Fine, you're very good. Even if the competition prohibits killing opponents, injuries really are hard to avoid. Since you're courting death, don't blame us." The competition still hadn't started, but both sides already stood with swords drawn and bows bent, the taste of gunpowder thick and clear. Dai Mabai clearly didn't like having his own lines snatched by the other side, but now the referee had already walked over. Both sides salute, non-competitors withdraw from the stage. Whether it was Heaven Du Imperial Academy of Shrek Academy, both sides unwillingly forced themselves to bow in salute to their counterparts. The superfluous withdrew from the stage, only leaving 7 people each to participate in this first match. On the Shrek Academy's side, Dai Mabai, Tai Long, and Huang Yuan stood furthest in front. Tang San was in the center, with Xiao Wu and Yung Ling on either side. Jiang Zhu stood furthest back. On the Heaven Du Imperial Academy side, besides the man and woman who spoke up before, the remaining 5 were all robust people, standing in a line in front, obstructing the 2 behind them like a wall. That petite captain stood in the center, doubtlessly this side's control system spirit master. And that fiery-bodied young woman stood in the rear. In the VIP section, Emperor Zhu Yi looked at the stage with a smile, asking Ning Fengji at his side, "Schoolmaster Ning, it seems this first match doesn't hold any suspense." Ning Fengji smiled slightly, nodding, expressing agreement. The Platinum Bishop Salus on the other side suddenly said, "Schoolmaster Ning, could you tell me which of the 28 teams you before said could be championship contestants?" Ning Fengji smiled, "Your Grace, is a bit of mystery no good?" I think you also certainly have teams to support. Salas tight-lipped said. Since you say this, Schoolmaster Ning, are you unwilling to reveal it? Ning Fengji smiled calmly, saying, This is a school secret. It appears unrelated to your grace. Salas' complexion clearly dropped, his gaze colliding with Ning Fengji's in front of Emperor Zhu Yi, neither yielding the slightest bit. Emperor Zhu Yi sitting in the middle frowned minutely, mediating. No need to be impatient. After this tournament ends, we will naturally have the results. Bishop Salas, what Schoolmaster Ning said wasn't wrong. Who he favors is his own matter. You see, I also didn't ask about it, even though I'm also very curious. Platinum Bishop Salas glanced at Emperor Zhu Yi, indifferently saying, As your Majesty says. Then let us look at the match. Prince Zhu Xing in the second row proudly said to everyone next to him. Look, His Majesty and Schoolmaster Ning have both already noticed that this match is without any suspense. Our Heaven Do Imperial Academy's students truly are elite. This is still only the second team. This time our main team only has one goal, final champions. He was the person in charge of Heaven Do Imperial Academy, and if they could obtain a good record, his reputation would naturally shine. He had already forgotten the words, Shrek Academy. As an imperial prince, what happened that time at Heaven Do Imperial Academy was to him only a tiny interlude. I think maybe not. Schoolmaster Ning only agreed with His Majesty that the match didn't hold any suspense. He didn't say who would win. Hearing this dissenting voice, Prince Zhu Xing immediately turned in its direction with annoyance. The speaker was no stranger, but rather the head of the Heaven Do Imperial Academy Board of Education, Spirit Douluo Meng Shenji. Prince Zhu Xing coldly said, Board member Meng Shenji, don't enhance the power of others when you're directly in charge of the academy. He and Meng Shenji had never gotten along, only both sides were unable to sway the other's position. Because of the matter with Shrek Academy last time, Meng Shenji had once gone to find Emperor Zhu Yi to lodge a complaint, but the emperor was busy with official business, and his health wasn't too well. He also didn't particularly pay attention. Prince Zhu Xing was his only little brother, and he still had faith in his brother. Prince Zhu Xing didn't see who the competing Shrek Academy members were, but how could Meng Shenji fail to notice? At a glance he recognized the one who had originally left him with a profound impression, Tang San. When he saw that Shrek Academy largely hadn't brought out the Shrek Seven Devils, inwardly he couldn't help feeling sorrowful. The magnificent Heaven Do Imperial Academy, unexpectedly couldn't make the opponent go all out. But what could he do? Practically each student at the Heaven Do Imperial Academy had some background, and he couldn't reorganize even if he wanted to. With formidable teachers and material conditions, yet rarely produced outstanding disciples. Were it not for receiving the grace of the imperial family, he would have long ago already left this board member position. The qualifying competition's first round, first match, formally starts. The referee's announcement declared the official start of the first round of the qualifying competition of the current Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Tournament. Similar to the Spirit Arena, the tournament gave 1 minute for both sides to deploy their spirits. While coldly gazing at the other side, Dai Mabai raised his hands to his chest, shouting, Brothers, release spirits. White Tiger Body Enhancement. As both sides released their spirits, all the spirit rings that appeared made surprised voices immediately spread through the spectator seats. 2 yellow and 2 purple, 4 dazzlingly beautiful spirit rings flashed around Dai Mabai. Tai Long and Huang Yuan at his side both released 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit ring. The valiant aura released by the 3 power attack system spirit masters unexpectedly wasn't inferior in any respect when facing off against the 5 opposing people. Xiao Wu, Jing Ling as well as Jiang Zhu behind, also each released 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit ring. None of these 6 lacked an optimal spirit ring configuration. But what startled the audience the most, and even caused shock, was the person in the central position of the Shrek Academy's formation, Tang San. 2 yellow, 1 purple and 1 black, 4 spirit rings simultaneously appeared around him. Black, originally the most inconspicuous of colors, but people with the slightest bit of knowledge about spirit masters all understood what that signified. Not just the spectator seats, even the VIP section now cried out in alarmed surprise. Who could have imagined that in the first round of the pre-selection competition, they would actually see a 10,000-year spirit ring appear on stage? Prince Zhu Xing, unable to control his emotions, shouted, "No. This is impossible. How can it be a 10,000-year spirit ring?" Meng Shenji painfully closed his eyes. This should originally have been the Heaven Du Imperial Academy's glory. No wonder they didn't even field their full strength. Even 7 treasure glazed tile school master Ning Fengji, who had already had a very favorable opinion about Shrek Academy, was gobsmacked when he saw the black spirit ring around Tang San. The 4th spirit ring already reached 10,000 years. As schoolmaster of one of the 7 great schools' 3 upper sects, how couldn't he understand the problem within? That was a spirit beast with a 5,000-year cultivation gap. Platinum Bishop Salus' previously squinting eyes now abruptly shone, staring fixedly at Tang San. Even if he didn't forget his manners like Prince Zhu Xing behind him, the hands resting on his knees unconsciously tightened. 10,000-year 4th ring. Light flashed in Emperor Zhu Yi's eyes, a dazzling luster flitting past the corners of his eyes. "Schoolmaster Ning, it seems, this should be the team you were optimistic about." Ning Fengji's expression had already recovered to normal after the brief shock. Despite the raging storm Tang San's 10,000-year 4th ring raised in his heart, at this moment he could still maintain a calm attitude. Calmly smiling, he said, "Your Majesty, my daughter is also a student at this Shrek Academy. She just didn't appear in this match." In other words, this Shrek Academy is fostered by your honorable school," Emperor Zhu Yi said with a smile. His eyes clearly displayed a cheerful look, without any worry about the Heaven Du Imperial Academy's 2nd team running into such a formidable opponent. But the expression of Platinum Bishop Salus on the other side clearly grew more unsightly. Ning Fengji declaring that his daughter was part of this team, was clearly to tell him that Spirit Hall mustn't have the notion of striking at this team. And the 7 treasure glazed tile school had also always had a good relationship with the Heaven Du Imperial family. Ning Fengji smiled slightly, saying, "I also can't say it's raised by our 7 treasure glazed tile school. It's just that the child with the 10,000-year 4th spirit ring is also a disciple of our upper 3 sects, that's all." Originally, they were going to join Heaven Du Imperial Academy, but unfortunately they were turned back by His Highness Prince Zhu Xing. Afterwards they joined another academy in Heaven Du City, the forerunner of the present Shrek Academy, Blue Tyrant Academy. What? Emperor Zhu Yi was inwardly alarmed, only with difficulty restraining himself from turning around and questioning Prince Zhu Xing. But in his mind he still immediately recalled the complaint Meng Shenji had lodged with him, and his brows drew down. After hearing Ning Fengji say this, Salus' expression recovered somewhat, and there was even a light of taking joy in calamity in his eyes. Compared to the Shrek Academy side, the Heaven Du Imperial Academy's 2nd team's spirit rings were inferior. They didn't lack in quality. Being able to represent Heaven Du Imperial Academy in battle, these students also all had optimal spirit rings. After all, relying on the strength of Heaven Du Imperial Academy's formidable teachers, as well as the power of nobility, getting hold of optimal spirit rings wasn't too strenuous. Unfortunately, right now the 7 people on stage didn't have one spirit master at the 40th rank, and all had 3 spirit rings. As they saw Tang San and his muted black 10,000-year spirit ring, they couldn't keep their pupils from contracting dully. But this was a match, equivalent to a battlefield, and daydreaming on the battlefield was a major taboo. The opponents might stare blankly, but the Shrek group wouldn't. In combat experience, this Heaven Du Imperial Academy 2nd team in front of them couldn't even compare to Tai Long and the other Shrek latecomers, let alone the Shrek 7 Devils. "Blitz!" Tang San shouted loudly. While the opponents were still lifeless, the Shrek 7 already initiated their attack. Dai Mabai took the lead, his muscles swelling suddenly as he led Tai Long and Huang Yuan in a forward charge. Xiao Wu and Jing Ling also simultaneously went out on the flanks. Jiang Zhu behind Tang San now held a fantastic scepter in her hand, the scepter tapered on the lower end, growing thick and heavy at the top, carved with exotic inscriptions. Right now the third spirit ring around her flashed, and with a wave of her hand, the scepter stuck into the surface of the floor, a ring of saffron light quietly spreading out. Only once Dai Mabai's trio charged did the Heaven Do Imperial Academy second team members react, that petite male control system spirit master angrily shouting, "What are you staring at? Fight!" The 5 people in front of the Heaven Do Imperial Academy second team were without exception power attack system spirit masters. Their spirits were each lion, bear, tiger, leopard, wolf. The impact force of this assembly was clearly unusually powerful. Even if they reacted a beat slow, on hearing the petite man's shout they acted immediately, fiercely going to meet Dai Mabai's trio. It seemed to them that even though Dai Mabai's spirit was over the 40th rank, they still held the numerical advantage. Their 5 spirits had all reached the 35th rank or higher, and coming into contact with the opposing 3, they weren't at a disadvantage. As long as they first defeated the opponent's 3 main attackers, victory wasn't far away. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy second team's 5 front power attack system spirit master clearly had the right idea. Their goal was to take the initiative in the early stage as both sides just came into contact. Unfortunately, they came into contact with Dai Mabai. Dai Mabai, whose spirit power had already reached the 44th rank. And still the pressure behind him, the 1,000 Hands Asura with the 10,000-year spirit ring. The evil white tiger faced upwards and roared, and the instant both sides were about to engage, without holding back he immediately opened with his third spirit ring ability, White Tiger Vajra Transformation. Tai Long was even simpler, his 3 spirit rings launching simultaneously, immediately changing into a ruthless orangutan with his pure strength amplification. Huang Yuan's third spirit ring ability was somewhat similar to Dai Mabai's, the boost was just a bit inferior. Called Skywolf Transformation, it instantly gave him a 50% attack power and speed boost. The Shrek Academy's 3 power attack system spirit master actually all opened with their 1,000-year spirit abilities. This was something nobody had expected. After all, when opening with spirit abilities that had such a large consumption, if the opponent blocked them, they wouldn't be able to follow up. But did Shrek's team members need to follow up? Black light floated around Tang San. He didn't even give the opponent's control system spirit master the chance to act, before his 10,000-year spirit ring ability Blue-Silver Prison had already launched. Without any warning, more than 100 strands of black-blue-silver grass suddenly rushed out of the ground, becoming 7 solid cages, completely trapping Heaven Do Imperial Academy's 7 within. Cries of alarm resounded in the whole arena, some spectating spirit masters shouting the words, "Crowd control." Crowd control, a control system spirit master's most menacing tool in battle, appeared in this first round of the qualifying competition.